unmute. Nope, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Just bear with me for a second, I'm sorry. All right. There we go. One more minute. I'm just going to share my screen and then we should be good to go. Okay, Karen, we're ready.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public participation. Dave, anything you want to say?
Well, it's been, yeah, it's been 12, 13 months, maybe more than that by now, so it's great to see the meeting again. Have a forum, which is good too. Just generally, we passed our budget, we have a town, you have a copy of it passed out before this meeting, and takes care of the facilities, senior disabled center. I'm sure Jamie will mention later on in detail she wishes to action with that. Over the past number of months, various different repairs and improvements have been done to the center, and I'm sure Jamie, if she chooses, will mention all those folks when they make more probably. I know. Other than that, I'm going to have a question. Or not.
Okay, we have a member of the public raising their hand, Sue Mazzacoli, so give me a moment and I will try to get her on. Hi, Sue.
Hi, Jean.
I don't know why it's echoing, I'm sorry.
I know I've been hearing it echo, but that's okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I want to congratulate Jamie on being our new director officially. Of course, she's been in that role for some time now, but you all haven't been meeting, so this is the official. And also, I want to congratulate you all on the accreditation process finally being completed after 5 years of incredibly difficult work and time and effort, and I really appreciate that. I've been enjoying the Senior and Disabled Commission when I considered COVID was over and when the doors opened, and I've been enjoying quite a few programs, and also the cafeteria for lunch program occasionally. So I just wanted to say thank you and welcome back. And I'm glad I'm actually starting to feel good now that you all are there in person. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. Everybody could hear what she said. If not, this meeting is being recorded. Okay.
Anyone else?
Nope, I don't see anybody else here.
We have approval of the minutes. Lord knows I do not remember the last meeting or the minutes. And it would just be the two of us from that meeting. So I assume I looked at them after the meeting, but so I would say I didn't see anything wrong. Did you? No, so we will approve the minutes.
Okay.
And now we have staff report.
Yes. I'm going to switch the sharing of my screen. One moment. You do have this report in front of you as well. And the folks at home, I'm going to put it up on the Zoom meeting as well. So this is a very comprehensive report since we have not met in such a significant period of time. I'm not going to do this to you every month. I just wanted to go back and reiterate everything that's gone on really since we last met. It goes back a little bit farther than that to the beginning, more to the beginning of the pandemic, but we're just going to touch upon that. I want to focus more on where we've been and where we're going. So again, this isn't going to be my typical monthly report, but I want to get us all caught up and kind of at a baseline so that moving forward, we're all on the same page. So let me reshare my screen, make sure that the folks at home can see it. Just bear with me. I'm hoping this is going to get easier. Let's see. Doesn't like that. Okay, well, everybody can see it but me, so that's okay because I have my copy here. It's not on my screen, but it's everywhere else. So I think we're okay. So this is my staff report for July of 6/2022. Typically, again, we don't meet in July or August, but given the fact that we haven't met for so long, this is going to be an exception. We'll start by saying there have been a significant number of staff changes to our department, starting with our program coordinator. That was previously me, and now it's Barbara Wolmer. She joined us part-time back in late 2020, and became full-time as a program coordinator last August, so not quite a year ago. Josie Ox is our new administrative coordinator. She started with us in April of this year, so just 2 months ago or so, 3 months ago, but she actually came from 15 years with the town in the finance department. So she's a longtime town employee and she fits in perfectly. And she came in completely off and running because she had so much finance experience. She does all of our business, all of our billing, our bill paying and budgeting and everything else. She replaced Denise Haas, who was in that position but retired in August of 2020. So for a while, I was doing both roles of the program coordinator and the administrative coordinator until they brought Barbara on board part-time to help out the program coordinator stuff. And then I did Denise's role plus program coordinating a little bit. And then in December, Diane Stone surprised us all by retiring. And she, of course, she didn't retire. She moved on to the national stage for the National Council on Aging, and we're all very proud of her. And I think one thing that this commission might want to discuss at some point, doesn't have to be today, would be some way to kind of thank her and honor her formally for her 23.5 years of service to the town. She left, her last day was December 31st. And that was, if you recall, in the height of the last wave of the pandemic. So our building was not open. It really wasn't safe to have like a goodbye party for her. People came in and said their socially distanced goodbyes, but we didn't get to do something like real for her. And I think maybe this commission can decide that. But then on January 1st, that made me the director. After 5 years at the center and 15 years at the town of Newington, I'm very, very pleased to be in this role. Huge learning experience. A lot of changes have come about because, you know, it's not just normal times, it has to be pandemic times and things changing on the week. And even just in the past 6 months, things have changed tremendously, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have one open position right now for the part-time dial-a-ride driver. Glenn Billiter retired about a year or so ago after many, many years of part-time driving to the town. We have not been able to fill that position. I know the town manager's office is working hard on that, but it's just one of those things where it's hard to hire part-timers right now. We are a smaller staff than we were pre-pandemic, but we're making it work. We eliminated a couple of positions from the budget through attrition. So nobody lost their job. We just eliminated some positions that were vacant. One being the congregate lunch supervisor, who was a part-timer, replaced by Barbara Wilmer, now heads up that program with the support of staff and volunteers. We had a part-time nurse, an APRN, and that was really was very part-time, about 8 to 12 hours per month, maybe come in for an hour, 2 or 3 hours on a Monday morning. And she left. What we decided to do there was we thought for part of the funding that we were paying for that position, we could bring in some broader health services and programs for the same or less money that will reach a much wider audience. So that's effective on the July 2022 budget, that we're going to be doing that. So we're going to be using some of that funding. It'll be reflected in the budget document you have there to bring in some health services, health programs. The nurse was great, but really it was the same, like 8 to 12 people that saw her every month. This way we can really get going on doing more. And then we had a part-time office assistant that retired during the pandemic, and we opted to not fill that position. We're looking for some volunteers to help, but we have such a strong full-time staff right now that we are able to handle the call volume and the office volume with that staff. All right, next slide. Nope, not next slide. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how to see this on my screen. Because I can't advance the slide. I'm just going to stop my share. I'm sorry. This is exactly what I was afraid was going to happen. We could practice this all we want, but
5 minutes of training.
exactly.
No.
Okay. And I did practice this a lot. I'm sorry. It's just not going to cooperate with me right now. In 1995, yes, I do. That was. I think I've got it here. Let's see. See, it's just does not want to help right now. All right, slideshow, current slide. Share screen. The folks at home are seeing it. We are not. I don't know why.
Okay, well, we have it on paper.
You do have it on paper. So the next slide, it'll be the volunteer. Let me just try one more thing, okay? Now it's just ignoring me, so. Nope, it's just not even gonna respond to what I'm telling it to do. So the folks at home are seeing the proper slide, so that's okay. But what you're seeing on the next slide on the bottom, We have about 75 volunteers in various areas, the Giving Garden, the coffee shop, the congregate lunch, bingo, setback, tech help, Meals on Wheels, AARP tax aid, social call program, and the wood shop. We have more volunteers returning very soon, including our bus trip committee, which we'll talk a little bit about more, our gift shop and our hospitality. And as always, we need volunteers. In the Giving Garden, particular need in the Giving Garden, which grows organic produce, donates about 600 pounds to the food bank each year. The gift shop, which we'll talk about, it's reopening soon. And our durable medical equipment room, in which we loan out or give out donated medical equipment to folks who need it, either on a temporary or permanent basis. Yes. This is, I'll talk about it in a few minutes, but this is a very new development as of like 3 hours ago. So it's new info to me too, but it's very good news. So yeah, so we're happy. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of money, you know, it's actually a pretty significant source of revenue for us. So to bring it back in any form would be helpful. Okay, so on the next slide for you folks here, on page 2, it's the one with the wall of honor. I just want to give you a quick facilities update. Some of this, most of this you probably already know because it was from earlier in the pandemic. We used the building closure time to make our facility more welcoming, comfortable, safe, and organized. Our parking lot is the nicest parking lot in town. It was refinished. We had some water bottle fountains installed, which are great to refill your bottles. The entire interior of the building was repainted. The floors were replaced in the health office. As pictured in your slide, we have a new wall of honor, which I want to just mention that this is a place where the staff, our small staff really shined because, you know, our building was closed, but we were open and very busy. But staff found the time out of things that weren't necessarily their jobs to help refresh the building. So dial-a-ride drivers, you know, when they were having some downtime, they redesigned this wall of honor completely, and it's beautiful. It's right outside our room here. Refresh decor, live plants, decluttered spaces, reorganized program and storage spaces. We have a couple of things upcoming in the near future, including some colorful banners that will represent our various dimensions of aging. We actually just came in today, we have to install it, a coloring wall for people to kind of take part in and making things bright and colorful. Everybody can fill it in and do what they want with it. We are working with the high school to bring back student art, both in the cafeteria and also to display around the center. We may take part of what used to be the permanent art show from the Board of Ed. That was something we discussed doing pre-pandemic, and then everything shut down. And we're going to reconsider that in the fall and see if we could bring in some art for our hallways. And the window replacement project is still moving along. It's much slower than we had anticipated, which is of no fault of anybody in our facilities department, just the nature of how construction projects are going now. We do expect an update on that soon. Next slide. Page are we on here? I'm on page ahead. Pandemic operations overview. It's kind of strange to me to kind of condense the entire pandemic into 4 slides here, but I'm going to do my best because we don't want to be here all night. You know, in the early days of the pandemic, March 13th, 2020, we closed our doors. And nobody expected it to be well over 2 years. We were thinking, okay, well, we reschedule our programs for like June. That should be safe, right? June 2020. Clearly that didn't happen. So we needed to switch gears very quickly and change our way of thinking very quickly. So we identified our most immediate needs. It was a confusing time for people. It was a scary time for people. And so we realized that we need nutrition. So we switched from our congregate lunch to our grab and go lunches, which started the following week without any kind of delay. So people were picking up a week's worth of lunches every Wednesday. We had about 75 people per week in the beginning. By the end, it had just come down to about 50 or so. Transportation, dial-a-ride never stopped. Where we brought them was reduced in the early days of the pandemic. It was medical appointments only, but it never stopped. And social work never stopped either, even though it would be done remotely or outside in the cold or over the phone. We figured out how to do it. Meals on Wheels also increased quite a bit during that time, and it never stopped. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Battling social isolation was a huge need that was immediately identified. And so we started with our weekly robocalls. We started with our social call program, which matches volunteers to people who are isolated. Information and communication, we became a source of information, a hub, and we wanted to make sure the information we got out to folks was correct. And networking and resources, working with other senior centers, working with state and local organizations to kind of figure everything out together. From late 2020 to mid 2021, we got more into programming, excuse me, remote programming, high tech, low tech, and no tech. So high tech were the Zoom programs, which were not like the Zoom program we're doing tonight. We actually got those to work pretty well. Low tech would be telephone programs that we still do to this day, like telephone bingo, telephone meditation. You don't need a computer, but you can call in. And no tech were things like when we turned our dial-a-ride bus into an ice cream truck and delivered ice cream to folks. Or we had drive-throughs, many drive-throughs where people drove through the parking lot and we had decorations and treats and goodies. As you probably all recall, vaccines became available in early 2021, actually late 2020 to early 2021. And we became a call center, a hub. We couldn't schedule, if you recall how difficult it was to schedule vaccine appointments in those early days, it was 70 folks, 75 and up first, then it became 65 and up, then 55 and up. I don't remember where it went after that. But each time they released a new batch or a new age group that was eligible, we would take literally hundreds of calls per day for people needing to know, how do I get a vaccine? We became like a 211 center. And we did, we actually we logged on to 211 and would review with people over the phone. This is how you make your appointment. This is where you need to go. This is what you need to do. Every single one of us in the building did that. So it didn't matter what our jobs were, we all did it. I said hundreds of calls per day. We worked with the Central Connecticut Health District to bring in our own vaccine clinics with tremendous help from the CERT team. Those early days, again, were scary. Our building was close to the public. Everybody was very regimented. Everything was 6 feet apart. Everything, as soon as you touched anything, somebody would come with a Lysol wipe and wipe it down. We had several clinics, first and second dose Moderna clinics. You would say they were small in comparison to the massive drive-through clinics, but they served a need. There was about 500 people that came through our clinics. They served a need to people who didn't have the capacity to go through a high volume clinic, couldn't do a drive-through clinic. Maybe they had transportation challenges. Maybe they had, they had accessibility challenges. So we were able to customize or accommodate every person that came through the door, whether they just needed a wheelchair and a couple extra minutes, or they needed to have the shot in the car. If they needed medical attention during their shot, we had a doctor on site. So it was a very tailored clinic, and we did 4 of them. And then we also, a couple times in that time frame, we were actually given the green light to open for little things here and there when cases went down, in which case we started with individual activities and some outdoor programs, but that came and went for quite a while. Next page, ongoing changes, mid-2021 through spring 2022. Just want to make sure I'm on the right page. Again, every week there were different rules, depending on where we were, what status we were. If we were in the red, our building was essentially closed, but we were still fully open and providing remote services. We worked very hard with the town staff, the emergency management department, and the Central Connecticut Health District to come up with COVID mitigation strategies that were constantly being analyzed and changed. So what we did for a long time was, if the town was in the red, we could have certain activities. If the town was in the orange, we could have certain activities, a little more. If the town was in the yellow, we could open up a little more. So it changed week by week. So we were constantly pivoting, but still making sure to not forget the earlier stuff, the nutrition, the transportation, Meals on Wheels, social isolation, which I still can't say after 5 years. And continued with COVID-related services such as vaccine and booster clinics. We had started getting test kits available, which we still have. If anybody needs them, we always have them, and various kind of masks. We did some, when the test kits were scarce, we were able to obtain some from the state. And we did drive-throughs, just like the CERT team did and the emergency management department did. We did drive-throughs. Finally, moving forward and reopening. I want to say moving forward rather than going back or going back to how it was, because I don't think we're ever going to go back to how it was before fully. That might not necessarily be a bad thing, because we've learned ways to reach people who are isolated, whether or not there's a pandemic. So most of our in-person activities, services, and programs are back. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Continued and evolving COVID mitigation strategies, such as we do still have reduced capacities in most rooms. We still hold stuff outside when we can. We don't necessarily have large programs, in the center. We continue to address social isolation by offering programs that are high tech, low tech, and no tech, in addition to in-person. So many programs are offered in hybrid manner where you can watch online. Again, it's a different system than this, so it works a little bit. We're a little more familiar with it. We still offer weekly telephone programs for folks who like to do that, and they're very popular. Next slide. And please jump in if you have any questions. I know I'm kind of flying through this. Current services. So currently we are almost fully open. Our congregate lunch returned on April 25th after doing 105 weeks of grab and go. Meals on Wheels never stopped. The coffee shop, with whom Kathy, one of our commissioners, is a volunteer for, reopened. Dial-A-Ride is fully open. So now you can go to the hairdresser, you can go to your doctor's appointments, you can come to the center, you can go visit a friend. We are fully open. Information and Referral Center never closed, but now we're back to in-person appointments, very busy. Social work, renters rebate, energy assistance, Information and Referral Center, and tax aid. Health services, I mentioned that there's no longer the nurse position, but we are, with the new budget, bringing in more health services than even listed. We currently have foot care, blood pressure clinics, and hearing screening clinics. Office assistance, paper shredding, and the free table have always been available. And we still have, we just held a booster clinic. We still have test kits and masks. We categorize our programs and activities into three kind of categories: stay active, stay connected, and have fun. They do overlap, I should say. We have our monthly schedule of special programs, events, classes, and evidence-based programs. In addition, we have a lot of regular programs. Many of them are listed here, but certainly not all of them. Programs to stay active include our exercise room, a strength training class, chair aerobics, walk with me, cornhole, pickleball, which is new and very popular, walking challenges. We have the AARP Fit Lot at Clem Lemire, and Parks and Rec has returned with many of their programs, including Zumbos tonight over in the auditorium. Next slide. Current programs to stay active and to stay connected. Tech help, folks, volunteers help out with your technical needs. Meditation Mondays, the continuing social call program for folks who are isolated at home, the computer room, and the TOPS group. And some programs that just exist to have fun, because we all deserve to have fun. Movies on Fridays, the TV lounge, puzzles, various card games, our talented knitting and beading groups, bingo, setback, wood shop, and boggle. There are some big programs that haven't returned yet, but every single one of them is in process. We're actively working on returning those programs. The AARP driver safety course returns in August. We just had to wait for AARP to approve in-person classes, which they did. Our bus trips to the casinos are going to return late summer, early fall. We are working with the bus company and our volunteer trip committee on that. I will say that's been a bit of a challenge. Both casinos have stopped offering comps. So before, you used to pay $20, $25 to go on the bus, but you get a $20 or $25 game or a buffet comp. The casinos universally no longer offer those to any senior center bus trips. So we're figuring out a way to make it still affordable and fun for people, with the cost of gas rising and everything else, making it worthwhile. And so we're actively working on that as we speak. The gift shop was a late addition to this. Initially, in our work with the health district and everything else, they said no to the gift shop. But things have changed. We are moving forward, and people want the gift shop back. And I agree. It's a good source of revenue, but it's also a really great program and a way to get yourself some nice gifts for your friends and family. It is a tremendously large and complicated program because it is a consignment shop. It is run entirely by volunteers, and our main volunteer, Rose, was gracious enough today to tell us that she is returning. And again, this was just this afternoon. So what we need to do now, she was in, I mean, this should be a paid job. It's a lot of a volunteer. She will begin, we have to work out the details, of course, but she will, we'll have to do is, we don't have anything. Everybody took their stuff back at the pandemic, and we donated what people didn't want. So we need to rebuild our inventory from scratch, which we will begin doing this summer. We already got our POS system set up, and actually it's coming back to the gift shop, to the coffee shop too. And we need to get our volunteers back in place. I think a very small number of the volunteers will be returning. So we'll be recruiting new volunteers. So that's a big project, but I think it'll be immensely worthwhile. And I'm very pleased to say that that's coming back. Silver Sneakers will come back as soon as the instructor's schedule fits in with ours, hopefully in the next month or two. And our expo, another revenue source for us, obviously has not been able to be held for the past couple of years because it attracts hundreds of people into our building. We are tentatively looking to bring it back this fall. Any questions so far? Okay. The next slide. What am I doing here? Reopening and operational statistics. So this is where I get confused. So our membership, so right now our membership is, as of today, at, it's not showing yet, I'm sorry. There it is. Our membership today is 1,107 residents and 195 non-residents. We are, however, in the midst of our renewal. So this number I would take with a grain of salt. You'll have much better numbers for next month or next time we meet. As you are aware from our updates, we have waived the $5 membership fee for the third year in a row. Instead, we are asking folks to consider donating to us in lieu of the membership fee. And people are doing so. And we're kind of emphasizing that with our communication to the members. We're emphasizing it in our letters, our renewal letters and everything else, that yes, we have a budget, but we actually do rely on donations in this revenue source to be able to bring you these great programs that don't cost anything to attend. So we just sent out the renewal letters, I want to say like on June 10th. So they just started reaching people's mailboxes and returning them about 2 weeks or so ago. So since that date, since I would say June 20th, which is when we really started receiving the first batch of them, we've collected about $7,700 of membership renewal donations. Again, we're only like 2 or 3 weeks into this process, still getting a big stack of mail every day. Last year, we collected $16,000 in membership renewal donations. I expect we'll meet or exceed that amount.
So before the pandemic,
we would make, we would make about $7,000 or $8,000 $5 membership, but people will donate on top of that. And the number I don't have is the donation number on top of that. So I'll have to get that to you. So yes, if we just counted the $5, we're making more money. If people did donate, kick in a little bit more. So I'll get that to you. The congregate lunch reopened on April 25th, and our average attendance is 25 to 35 people per day, Monday through Friday. Now, if you look pre-pandemic, we had 50 to 60 people, and occasionally a little bit more if it was something really good like the turkey dinner. So why? We had to ask ourselves what's going on with this. Well, we did a little research. One thing we found out off the bat is of the 50 to 60 people that came before, there were 15 folks who were regulars. They came several days a week, if not every day. They either passed away during the pandemic, or they moved into assisted living, or they moved out of town, or they're no longer well enough to attend in-person lunch and get Meals on Wheels. So that right there is about a quarter of our congregate lunch. And of course, we were not open for lunch to build a new lunch base. We also kind of incidentally had a couple people we talked to who said, we moved on. We went to a different senior center. You took too long to reopen and we're not coming back. And that's something that, our town administration and our health district, they opted to take a very conservative approach to reopening. A little bit out of our hands. And I'm not going to say, whether we agree or disagree with that isn't really for this discussion. But the result of it is, while we are fully open and joyfully so now, there are some folks who decided to move on. And some of those folks are coming back here, which is awesome. We want to see them back. You can go to more than one senior center. There's no rule. But I do suspect that we probably lost a small group of people because of that. And time will tell whether or not they decide to come back to us. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we're rebuilding our numbers in just a minute too. Meals on Wheels, we have about 55 people who receive Meals on Wheels delivered every single day, Monday through Friday. That's over 4 routes, mostly delivered by volunteers with staff supplementing. That has increased from the pre-pandemic, where we'd have 40 to 45 recipients every day over 3 routes. So some of the folks who used to come into lunch are no longer able to do so. And then we just have more people home on Meals on Wheels. Next slide. The coffee shop reopened on April 18th. I wish I could say it was busier. It's not right now, but we're getting there. We're getting there. The June sales were $407, which is not a lot, but it's better than we were in May. A couple of reasons for that. And I'm optimistic we will rebuild those sales. Particularly earlier in June, we didn't have a steady group of volunteers back in place yet. So the gift shop wasn't open every day that it should be. And sometimes it was only open for an hour or 2 in the morning. That's pretty much resolved now. Also, early on, when we reopened, we were still pretty much encouraging people just to come for specific activities. So if you're coming for chair aerobics, you come at 10, you do chair aerobics, you go home. What we're starting to see now is we're encouraging people to come in and hang out again, to socialize, to talk to their friends. And that's what drives coffee shop sales. We're also seeing things like the Deaf Senior Club starting to return slowly. So we will be doing things to, and that should say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I'm sorry, I just realized that. So we are, now that we have rebuilt our volunteer base and we have a steady group of volunteers to do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will start looking at ways to rebuild the business. Because that used to be a very busy thing that brought us in revenue, but was also great for the folks who enjoyed it. By considering reopening on Mondays, which we haven't had a volunteer to do so steadily, considering opening, staying a little bit later, doing a little bit more advertising out. So that's a work in progress. I'm happy to have it back. I'm not concerned that it's going to remain as slow as it is. Dial-A-Ride in June of 2022. Again, we're fully open for any trips. We have 2 full-time drivers. We're hoping to get a part-time driver. They made 429 trips in June. And in parentheses, you'll see 111 Meals on Wheels in between trips on days and we don't have 4 volunteers, which on average right now is about 2 days per week. We're seeing Mondays and Fridays usually. They'll grab a route and deliver the meals while they're doing their driving. And they went 1,849 miles. So we're seeing Meals on Wheels it never went away, like I said, but really rebound, and people are really using it for whatever they need to do to get around town. Kathy? It has not been an issue so far this year. Their fiscal year is a little bit different. It starts on October 1st. So if we're going to start seeing some budget issues, and just to explain to the folks who may be listening at home or are newer, our congregate program is provided by the CRT, the Community Renewal Team. They prepare the food and they prepare the Meals on Wheels food, and they deliver it to us hot every day. They are funded by many different sources. It's a federal nutrition program, so it's federally funded. It's funded by donations. It's funded by the various area agencies on aging. And there's a lot of rules about the funding because it's a federal program and how it's used. They had, before the pandemic, a couple of instances during the year where they were out of money. And as a result, they could not offer, Meals on Wheels was never affected, but they had to close certain days and they couldn't offer lunches on certain days. So for us, it was on Wednesdays before the pandemic. We never let that affect our nutrition program. We just went out and found community sponsors to donate pizza. So it might not have been like the healthiest lunches, but we never went a day without lunch. And thankfully right now, I have not heard any inkling of that being a problem coming up. You never know. It's something that's always kind of in the back of our head, we're always thinking about. Okay. I'm almost done. Being very patient with me, thank you. Our next slide, our programs and activities. What do I have here? I'm just going to give you some estimated attendance of our programs, and I have more specific statistics in a minute. We do have reduced capacity, as I mentioned. You'll see the orange signs all around our building. That's how many people we could have in the room for the health district. So our special speaker programs that would be held in this room, the multi-purpose room, similar rooms, we get 15 to 30 people, which is great. Oftentimes they're at capacity, and that's in line with the type of speaker programs that we would have done in the pre-pandemic. Same thing with all our small art and craft classes and groups. Those are smaller groups by design, and we're getting good crowds, 5 to 15. Our smaller exercise classes, like strength training and walk with me, again, are designed to be smaller groups. So we're getting good turnout for there. Chair aerobics came back very strong. We moved it to the auditorium because this room is too squishy for that many people. And we're getting easily 30 people per class. That was just a great class, a great thing coming back. Bingo, 25 to 30, slightly less than it was pre-pandemic, but growing. And setback, that one went down 15 to 20. We used to get closer to 50 people. And in talking to the setback folks, Rocky Hill Senior Center, where I was today for our meeting, reopened earlier than we did for setback. They also have an absolutely gorgeous, sparkling, brand new building that is stunning. And they went there, they like it, they're staying there. That's okay. We'll rebuild the program, and we have many other offerings, and we can't really compete when people say, I love the brand new building there. Well, we painted ours, it looks nice now. So, and then outdoor events, we get 50 to 100 people. We have special interest recurring programs, things that aren't exactly monthly special programs, but they're specialized. Things like our neuroscience class, which is like brain exercise, and our history classes, which are taught by a retired Carnegie Mellon professor, which is great. We get 12 to 20, which is a good number. The reason I picked these two classes is because neuroscience is a hybrid class. You can come right into this room and take part in it, or you could join via Zoom at home. And it's great either way. And the history class is a fully remote class. That is a very good example of a class that's been very popular and it's been successful remote. Some special program highlights. So in June, we did a Lotus Flower Lantern workshop, which is awesome. We had a Pride Month celebration. We held the first LGBT Movable Senior Center in-person program in over 2 years. That's a kind of a collaborative program among various senior centers that would move around, thus the Movable Senior Center, from month to month, that went remote during the pandemic. We held it in person. We showed a documentary called The State of Pride and had lunch and discussion afterwards. We had some health topics discussed. CBD, medical marijuana is a very popular one. Tick-borne illnesses, what to eat for brain health. We had a dance party and karaoke, which was awesome, although I was more than happy to sit in the back and not do karaoke. We had some craft classes, including a needle felting class. Our Matter of Balance class came back, which is an evidence-based program, an 8-week evidence-based program that sells out every time. Pickleball, at the suggestion of Karen, came back, and this is only our second week, and we're getting a good crowd for it. And strength training, done by a CCSU intern who is also a certified physical strength training instructor. All of our programs, we try to hit the various dimensions of wellness in our mission statement, which include physical, emotional, environmental, social, purpose, financial, intellectual. I feel like I missed one, but that's okay. So everything that we plan, whether it be our daily programs or our special programs, we try to hit those various dimensions of wellness, because our whole objective here is to improve the wellness of older adults, whether that means you go to a class about how to avoid tick-borne illnesses, or you go to pickleball because it's fun and you get a little exercise, or you go to listen to people sing karaoke because it's fun and you get fresh air. And that's a part of wellness. It's an important part of wellness. So we're really focusing on the stay active, stay connected, stay healthy, but have fun, have some joy too. We all need it. Here's some pictures on the next slide. Some of our recent programs, including pickleball and the Lotus class, and the Deaf Senior Club is in there, the LGBT program, and some of our Brave Karaoke folks. Just quickly, upcoming classes, upcoming special programs, Paint and Sip art class tomorrow. Yep, we're having a special Friday bingo with prizes sponsored by a community partner, class about the probate process. We're starting a weekly outdoor exercise class at the Fitlock Park at Clem Lemire, which is great. Please check it out if you haven't. A special speaker about Elvis Presley, how to read a nutrition label, hatch a chicken. I'm irrationally excited about this. We're getting baby chicks, eggs, an incubator, and we're gonna observe that. And as soon as they start, the lady who does it did it at various senior centers and libraries, has gone over very well. She says, as soon as the baby chicks start getting ugly, they take them back. So they're not our permanent residents. They're just gonna be there for a few days. And a silk flower craft class this month. Save the date for a couple of important things that we'll talk about later on the agenda. The annual volunteer dinner, Making a Difference is What We Do, is on August 2nd. You all received emails about it. Invitations actually went out in the mail in the past day or two, so I have no idea how long the mail is taking now, but if you didn't get it in your mailbox, it'll be there soon. And then on August 3rd, we're going to proceed with our accreditation celebration with a Happy Days theme, not necessarily the old TV show, but that era of happiness and joy. And we're going to make it like a double meeting, like Happy Days are ahead, and we're looking forward to it. And we're nailing down the details. That's going to be kind of an all-day thing with various activities to try out and fun things. And we're going to get the info on that in the coming days. That is the conclusion of my report for this part of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not my meeting, so sorry. Karen, it's not, see, I'm sorry, emails? Right. 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 So what counts? Correct. So let me answer that. There's a couple parts to that question. I don't know how many people specifically don't have emails. I do know that many of our members do because we collect that information. We learned in the pandemic that you need to communicate with people and get information out in many different ways. So the monthly connection newsletter, our building's open and has been for many months. Our monthly connection newsletter has always been available here, and it still is. We also send it to the library and the town hall, and we've resumed sending it to the various housing sites. We do send it via email as well, and we have it put on social media. So the folks who like social media, they'll see that it's on Facebook, click the link. The folks who are on email, grab the email and there's the link. You could also go to the website if you want to. The folks that come here, they come here and grab it. And we have an ongoing list of people who request to have it mailed to their home. So every month we mail several hundred of them to people's homes because they don't have email and they may not have the capacity to come here. So we have 5 or 6 different ways to reach people and to get the connection newsletter out to people. Well, it does cost a lot of money. The printing of the newsletter, just so you all know, is free. It's done by parish something or the other. They do church bulletins. And the reason you see advertising on the back is because that's how they make their money. So this actual printing costs us nothing. The mailing, yes, it costs us 55 cents per newsletter to mail out. At this point, it's just kind of a cost. We budget for it. And it's a cost of reaching out to people during a pandemic. I would say that we get many people in the building anyway who are grabbing it now, or grabbing it from the library, or we email it out to people, and a lot of people get back and it goes out to like 1,100 people. They say thank you, not all 1,100, but a lot of them do. So we, short of hand delivering it to every member, we do as many different ways as possible to reach people in as many ways as possible. That's a theme with all of our communication, not just the newsletter. So anytime, so that's how we do it.
So if someone wanted a copy,
We have an ongoing mailing list. Yes. Yes. Just call the office. We'll put you on the list. Mark?
My first question, I guess, is more to the residents here at the center. Have someone that's able to prescribe these situations. Do you feel okay with it? They'll put down the toilet, they got flushed. I mean,
Yeah.
There's so many scenarios, and I was wondering, so with the HPR and Messi, who is a prescribing practitioner, nurse, are the other people, are we saving money at the risk ultimately of residents here at
That's a fantastic question. We are actually not a licensed medical facility. So our ARPN was here to answer questions like, okay, I have diabetes. How do I do this? How do I take my blood sugar? Tell me about cholesterol. She could not prescribe in our facility. So it was basically advice only. So what we do is we have a lot of health education, and we provide people the connection and resources who aren't able to do it on their own. Because I mean, some people like to go out and get their own doctors, do their own health stuff. They're private about it, right? Which is great. If folks need help finding a doctor, getting to a doctor, if they need help understanding their prescriptions, if they have questions, that's where we come in. So it's not a medical facility per se. We are licensed to be able to do things like blood pressure screenings with a nurse, a volunteer nurse that comes in, foot care with the volunteer nurse who comes in and does foot care, that type of things. Those things we can do, but we were never able to prescribe medication. So there's no risk. We believe that, you know, we'll always, our social worker is the best. I mean, the best. She's been doing it for a very long time. She is very resourceful. And whatever the folks need help, our job is to connect people with what they need through whatever means they need. You? Yeah, of course. Yep. Mhm.
What is their interaction with
It's okay. It's folks who are members of the center and allies. You know, we could actually have a whole other informational session or discussion about this, because I don't want to be here all night, but it's a significant risk with the aging population in LGBTQ. So it was identified as a risk of folks who become isolated, who may go, for lack of a better term, have been out in the public, may go back into the closet and say, you know what, I'm not accepted anymore. So I'm going to not be myself any longer. I'm not going to identify as LGBT. So the Movable Senior Center it's a regional, like I said, a bunch of senior centers banded together to do it, and we take turns hosting. So Newington was the first one to get it back. So that's what it consists of, and it's topics of interest that could change from month to month. We do have a population of LGBTQ folks who are members of the center. We are as friendly and open as we can possibly be, and we encourage an environment of being friendly and open and allies to folks. Hope that answered your question. Okay, you're welcome. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The AA group has not opted to return. If they do opt to return, they're welcome, and we have space for them. Okay.
So under old business, we want to talk about the accreditation.
Yes.
Update and this celebration.
I just lost where I was. I'm sorry. It's going to keep me up at night. Okay. It's continued on your presentation. It is a separate agenda item. But the folks at home should be able to see this. It looks like it's still sharing, and you folks have it in front of you here. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because we already talked about it quite a bit. The purpose of the national accreditation is, this is straight off of the website of the National Council on Aging, which is where Diane Stone works now, by the way. So that's excellent for them and us. The purpose is to advance the quality of senior centers nationwide. The National Institute of Senior Centers developed this accreditation process with 9 standards of excellence for senior center operations, which serve as a guide for all senior centers to improve their operations and position themselves for the future. Again, that's straight from their website. I didn't make that up. The 9 standards are purpose, programming, community connections, fiscal operations, facilities, records, administration and human resources, evaluation, and governance. So we had to meet standards in all 9 of those categories. The benefits, which is what I didn't write here, is it allows us to take a step back from the daily grind of life here at the center and view our operations on a broader scale. We learn what we do well, what we can do better, and what we want to do moving forward. National accreditation status assures the centers are operating to the highest of national standards. And it really puts us on the forefront of new and innovative programming and funding. It puts us at an advantage for competitive funding. The Aging Mastery Class, some of you who have been around for a bit know about that. That was something that Newington was a leader in getting that class going nationwide. It's now a national program. It's very highly regarded. Because we were previously accredited, we got our foot in the door on that, and now we're a leader. I don't want the timeline for folks who've been around forever. We started back in spring of 2018 to the application to intent to apply for reaccreditation. At the time, it was a huge binder of info that I'm not exaggerating, a huge binder of info that you had to put together with pretty much every scrap of information about your center under those 9 standards. It was an in-person process at the time where peer reviewers were flying from all over the country and go over your application. From spring of 2020 through spring of 2018 through March of 2020, of course, Diane Stone was the director then. We worked through that whole process with some pauses along the way when we had other things come up that were important. March of 2020, the process paused altogether due to the pandemic. So the Institute was not doing it at that point. So it kind of sat dormant for a while. And then in the fall of 2021, we got a phone call from the National Council on Aging saying, hey, we're introducing this online process. Do you want to do it? And we said, absolutely. So it became very busy and we took part, same information, but now everything's online. On December 30th, 2021, we submitted our application finally that we started in spring of 2018. That date is important because it was the day before Diane Stone retired. And the fact that we were able to get it in under her last day, she was able to stay on in an advisory role so as not to throw everything on me as a brand new director, because the next part gets intense, a little bit intense, not too intense. January through April, our application materials were reviewed and they had questions for us and they asked us to send more info here and there, no big deal. We did so, everything seemed to go well. Then the really intense part was April 25th through the 27th. That was the peer review process done completely remotely. We had peer reviewers from Connecticut, we had peer reviewers from Ohio, and we had peer reviewers from California. So rather than flying in, we figured out time zones and had some weird time meetings to make it work for everybody. And we had 3 straight days of intense meetings. And some of you were involved in those meetings. They were with various groups of staff, community partners, commissioners, volunteers, town staff, even the town manager was involved for a bit. So they basically interrogated us, for lack of a better term, and they were nicer. They were very kind. I shouldn't be just, but they were. But it was an intense process. We also did a complete virtual tour of the center that took several hours to complete. So this again process. They really want to make sure that you're doing everything to the highest of standards. And then we had to wait for several weeks because they had their annual meeting on May 31st, the National Council on Aging and the National Institute of Senior Centers, in which we finally got the good news that we were approved and we have received accreditation status, national accreditation status. On June 7th, there was the NCOA Age Plus Action Conference. We were recognized at that conference for our efforts. On Tuesday, July 12th, upcoming, the Town Council will have a proclamation. If any of you folks want to, well, some of you folks will be there, but if you want to join, assuming it gets approved on the council agenda, we'll also do a little bit of an update there. And then on Wednesday, August 3rd, our celebration, which you'll all get the details to follow. As part of the accreditation process doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's 5 years, it's a 5-year designation, but it's not like, hey, you're accredited, now go away for 5 years. They do talk to you about your strengths and they observe some strengths with us. I'm on the next slide now, by the way. Our diverse programming and services, which I just spoke extensively about. The flexibility and commitment of staff, which I really cannot say enough about this wonderful staff. Throughout the pandemic, we would pivot on a day-to-day basis about what we could do, what we couldn't do. We never expected to become a call center for vaccines. We never expected to become a vaccine clinic. So we really, they stepped up and they're continuing to step up every single day. Every single person, I said to the accreditation folks, we all can do what everybody else does. So if I need help with the program, somebody will step in. If Barbara needs help setting up for a program, somebody steps in. Meals on Wheels need to be delivered, I'll get in the car, or Terry will get in the car. It doesn't matter what your title is, you do it. The only things we can't cover each other are driving the dial-A bus because it's illegal, and some social work, which is obviously confidential skilled work. But other than that, our staff will cover phones. I mean, they will do whatever we need to do to get the job done. Public awareness of programs and services was a strength. Our community connections, we're very proud of our community connections and our community partners, and also our work with the other town departments and town staff, and our lovely facilities. We also were given suggestions for the future, which we are mutually agreed upon suggestions. So they didn't just dump these on us, we agreed on these. Pursue a no wrong door approach with community partners and town departments. What that means is local organizations work together to assure that folks can age successfully in their communities. And that's what a no wrong door approach is. And that's pretty much our everyday life anyway, but we always continue to pursue that. Heighten awareness of us to our external audiences, which I could talk about in a little bit. Ensure professional development opportunities for staff, which we always encourage within our budget and constraints. It's easier now because most conferences and classes are online and a lot of them are free. We also, important part of that is networking. So staff is encouraged to be part of professional organizations that interest them or that they're qualified for. I was just on Friday elected to the vice president position of the Connecticut Association of Senior Center Professionals. I had previously been the second vice president because they have two for some reason. For 3 years, my term limit ended and I was elected the first vice president. So next step is president, I guess, we'll see. And then I was also appointed to the advisory committee for the Connecticut Healthy Living Collective, which again brings together various organizations around the state with the goal of providing resources for healthy aging. The LGBTQ Movable Senior Center is one of their initiatives, along with the Live Well program, the Aging Mastery program. We did a lot of virtual stuff during the pandemic. So I just had my first meeting. I was appointed in May. They also indicated that we should look into repurposing and updating unused and underused spaces, such as our stage, which cannot be used as a stage. So not all of these are things that we're doing today, tomorrow, or even this year, because some of them are budgetary items that would be considered in the coming years. So we need to start looking at the spaces we're not using and seeing how we can get funding, how we can, look at them, how can we use them better? So the stage was one that they brought up specifically, but also we're thinking like the wood shop. It's great, but only a handful of people use it. So how can we repurpose it so that those folks can keep using it, or we could bring in other crafts people or other people who want to use the space? And then upgrade our exterior landscaping and curb appeal. I think our building is nice. It's well maintained by our parks department, but I think the front lawn immediately outside this door is a little plain. So I'm working with parks to get some easy to maintain things. Of course, they were not talking about our beautiful giving garden in the back, but they're talking about what you see when you're going down the street. Any questions on senior center accreditation? We're very, very happy. We're energized. We're thrilled to move forward. We know we're operating at highest level possible. We're one of 6 in the state. There's over 200 senior centers in the state between municipal and nonprofit centers. Only 6 of them are accredited. And we're the only accredited senior and disabled center in the state. So, any questions? I promise you, I'm never going to talk this much again. It is so much. Okay. Karen, do you want to go to the next part of the agenda?
I have 2 things, but we talked about it. So, new business is next, membership renewals.
Okay. I already showed you some of this info. Our current membership, again, take this with a grain of salt, because we are in the midst of renewals. We've received $7,700 in donations. Last year received about $16,000, but I'll have updated numbers for you at the end of the month. And we waived the $5 membership fee. With that, the renewals, and I should mention for the benefit of the newer folks that every year the waiving of the fees and the membership requirements are ages 55 and up in Newington, or disabled adults ages 18 and up. It's typically been a $5 membership fee or $10 if you live out of town. We have for the 3rd year in a row waived those fees. And that's typically done by the commission. Since we didn't have a commission this past year, we were given special permission by the town manager and finance director to proceed with that process. Otherwise, we'd be stuck without members. Membership begin on July 1st each year. So we have a couple goals, and we're working on goal number 1 right now. It's the next slide. Renew, retain, and re-energize our current membership. I mentioned how certain programs, the participation is down. That's typical everywhere of all senior centers, but we're working on outreach in various ways. I actually already touched upon this with Geraldine's question. In-center robocalls, special mailings, emails, all of that to get people in. We're asking people to give us their ideas and suggestions. Pickleball is a suggestion that is now a popular program. So right now we're working on really retaining our membership, saying we're open, our doors are open, come back to us. We offer so many things, but if you can't come back to us, that's okay, because we offer remote things too. So whatever you need from us, basically what I say at the end of my robocall each week is, we're here for you. We hope to see you soon. We're here for you. Call us if you need anything. We'll figure out how to do it. So that's step 1. Step 2, which will begin when the new memberships dwindle, when the renewals start to dwindle, because right now we're just really busy with the renewals. Community outreach to build our membership. So discussion in these public forums, including this one. Media, social media coverage. We're hoping to get a little bit of media coverage with the accreditation, which could open us up. Outreach to senior housing, assisted living, veterans housings. And we're going to do some open houses directed towards those folks in the back behind us on Mill Street, at the high rise, those types of things. Come in, see what we're all about, see what we offer. We'll get some sponsors to send us some lunch, have some tea, and we'll have a tour and play some games. So we're hoping to build our membership. I have some tentative goals on the bottom. I would like to increase our total membership to 1,400 by July 1st, 2023. I'm pretty set in that one, and we intend to hit that. The second one, increase number of participation. What that means is the number of people coming into our building and participating in our programs. I put 15% as a placeholder, but we're still learning how to count this, because people who are participating remotely aren't scanning in, right? Not everybody comes into the building is scanning in. So we're figuring out how to count this. And when I have a better idea of what we're doing, then I'll have a better idea of how much we want to increase our participation by. So I'm tentatively saying I want 15% more people coming to the building, participating in things, whether it be social work or lunch or a program. Just come to a program each year. Check out bingo, check out Dial-A-Ride. So I'll get you more info on that once we get a real grip on the way that we handle things now in terms of numbers. And that's the end of that. Any questions?
Is there any way for the phone company to help with that?
That's
all the calls that come into the building, there are questions about something.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, our phone bill, we can get a detailed number, thing of calls. But what it doesn't say is why they're calling. Are they calling because they want to know, I don't know, what do people call for? I can't even think right now. Are they calling because they want to know about an upcoming program? Or are they calling because they need Meals on Wheels because they're homebound, or they need social work, or they just want to know what time bingo is? That's what we have. That would be, it can be done, but it would require each person, when they answer the phone, each time of our hundreds of phone calls a day, to track that somehow. I just don't know how we have time in our day with our tiny staff right now to do that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we don't want that. We want somebody answering the phone. Yeah, we want somebody answering the phone. And if they have to get transferred, fine. But it's something I'll kind of think about and work on. But we do intend to move forward. We do intend to grow, no matter what the pandemic throws at us. And that's it for that. Yep. The volunteer dinner, as you mentioned, some of you received your invitations. If not, I would expect them in the next day or so. Tuesday, August 2nd at 6 o'clock. This will be the first in-person volunteer dinner since 2019. We did do a modified dinner for the past 2 years where we delivered the boxed chicken dinners. I don't know, it's always been a chicken dinner for way longer than I've probably been alive. So I don't know, chicken dinner, it just is. So it was delivered and we did like an NCTV program. We are bringing it back in person under a tent. We're going to do it outside in the evening. We rented a tent. A local organization gave us a fantastic deal on it. We're going to use it for a couple of days. Actually, we're going to use it the next day for our accreditation celebration as well. If the weather is horrendous, then we could either postpone it because we do have the tent for a couple of days, or we can move it inside. But the health district is still indicating that we really should be holding these big activities outdoors. It's just safer for this population, which is excuse me, a bit more vulnerable to COVID. The theme was making a difference. It's what we do, as suggested by Karen, our chairperson, excuse me. Again, it's the first in-person dinner since 2019. It's also the first time since 2019 that we are actually going to honor and designate volunteers of the year. In 2020 and 2021, we honored all volunteers, as we do every single year, including this year. But because most volunteers could not participate at that time, we didn't think it was fair to say, here's your volunteer of the year. So we just honored everybody. This year, we are going to honor everybody as we always do, but the volunteers of the year collectively are the Meals on Wheels drivers for their unending work during the pandemic, with the exception of the very early scary months when staff got out on our cars and delivered meals every day because we could not have volunteers here. They started delivering just a couple months in, they resumed delivery, and they've delivered through, even in non-pandemic times, they deliver in the heat, they deliver in the cold and the pouring rain. They are a lifeline to folks who are homebound and can't get out of their houses. They're checking on them every single day. They're providing hot meals and nutrition to people who otherwise may not be able to meet those nutritional needs. And there are a set of eyes on people to report back if there's any concerns. So there's 15 Meals on Wheels drivers. Some of them deliver once a week. Some deliver a couple times per week. We have 4 routes per day, so that's 20 routes per week. And we plan to honor them on August 2nd. And I'm very excited, very much looking forward to it. Fingers crossed for good weather. We're under a tent, but I don't want it to be a million degrees. It'll be in the evening, so that should help. And that is our volunteer. And the other reason I'm bringing this up tonight, of course, for your information, but typically this commission does choose the volunteer of the year each year. Again, we did not have a commission. We weren't sure when we were going to have a commission again. Thankfully, very thankful for Commissioner Nagel's return so that we can do this. So we did get the permission from the town manager to go ahead and proceed without the commission's approval to do this. Otherwise, we would have skipped it this year, and that didn't feel right to me. It felt like the right thing to do to honor people, even if we did it a little differently. So that is the conclusion of my presentation on volunteers of the year. Any questions? We have 72 current active volunteers. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 15 of them. Some deliver once, most of them deliver once per week. A couple of them deliver a few times per week. And we have a few that basically fill in. Like one of the gentlemen has a job, part-time job, where he's on call. So he'll tell us in the morning, I'm available today. Do you need me? Yes, come on in. So that's how, so they're invaluable. I mean, we couldn't be more grateful for our Meals on Wheels volunteers, all of our volunteers, but we're gonna honor Meals on Wheels folks this year. We'll do a group picture. Yep. In fact, it looks like maybe 20 or so years ago, they did the Meals on Wheels volunteers then. So it's about time to do it again. Different group this time, different group of people.
Consideration of upcoming
Excuse me, just one moment. Let me just reshare the screen that I'm supposed to share when we're not doing a presentation. And I need to get to the right screen. Just bear with me for one moment. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not because it's just not doing what it's supposed to do. Nope. Okay. Let me just share it though. Okay. So consideration of upcoming purchases, I don't have any specific ones for you folks to consider tonight. You went a very long time without commission approved purchases, which for the benefit of those listening at home and new, purchases $500 and up would need to be approved by the commission in certain accounts. Because we were operational, but our building was closed for so long, we didn't need to buy a lot of things. And the things that we did need to buy, we were able to keep under that $500 limit, such as heaters for our patio so that we could have outdoor programs and we couldn't have people inside, a couple $100. A portable speaker system, things like that. The other purchases were all either CIP, larger scale projects or things covered by the facilities budget, such as the painting. So we didn't need to come to the commission for purchases. It became clear when I became director that we would need to eventually do so. And I would look at each town council agenda and see if there's any appointments. And if there weren't any, I would kind of jot it down and talk to the town manager, talk to the finance director, and say, you know what, we are getting to the point now where we need to make some purchases that are over $500. Nothing too much. And we're not spending tens and thousands or even single $1,000, but we needed things like a shed for the garden, a storage shed. We had one, not enough room for the tremendous amount of work they do and all their tools and everything. And so rather than having it spread about in the room back next to us, we need another storage shed. It was $800, which is of course above the $500 threshold. So the town manager and finance director said, okay, you may purchase that $800 shed. We did our due diligence as we would with everything. We're very, very careful with our budget. We researched, we decided what kind of shed would work best, and we comparison shopped and we got a shed. The other major purchases actually are garden related as well. And then things such as the volunteer dinner itself, we need to spend, that comes out of the commission's account. A little bit of money is budgeted each year for that, about $1,200. And we needed the money to make that happen as well. So that's about it for purchases. In the coming months, I will have some purchasing for you to consider, and details will follow. Facilities type stuff, upgrades to cabinets, things that will continue to improve our facility. We're in great shape in terms of what we need, and we're able to purchase very carefully. Things like the coffee shop, we purchase carefully weekly. We would never hit that $500 limit. We also were able to do things like program at home kits. We put together various kits for people to take at home during the height of the pandemic, different crafts and activities and things. We were able to get CARES funding for that. And we purchased such a way to keep each one under $500. So we're careful with our purchasing. We always are very responsible with our budget, but I'll be coming to you with some purchases in the future.
So we don't.
No motion, I have no requests for tonight. It's already spent. We got the town manager's permission because we had no commission to, if we didn't do it, we wouldn't have a volunteer dinner. We wouldn't have it, so. We did not exceed our budget. Our budget every year that's afforded to us for this is $1,200. We're not even near that yet, so we're good.
So under new business, I wanted to add something. We had talked about doing something for Diane, and I had the idea we could name a room for her, but maybe other people have other ideas. I know I'm posting around.
We, just so you know what we did do, we, everybody who retires from the town has the option of getting a pretty clock. It's kind of like a desk. I think she got a desk clock. They changed it. Used to be a wall clock. So she got that from the town. She received a proclamation from the town council. We had a little goodbye thing here. Like I said, when people came in and did a socially distanced thing, it was kind of a scary time of COVID, so we were careful. And we made a photo book of all the pictures we can collect over the past 25 years and put them into a book, a printed book for her that our staff took up a collection to pay for. So that's what we did, just so you know. But in terms of something from the commission or the town in general, we can talk about. Diane's, so Mark, for people who are listening at home, sorry, Commissioner Francis' question was, what was Diane Stone's passion? She had a lot of passions, has a lot of passions because she's in her new role with her passions. Healthy aging or wellness in aging was by and far her life. I mean, is her life. So I need to stop talking in past tense. Diane, if you're listening, I'm sorry. So aging well was her goal in every single thing she did, whether that means living to 100, or it means living to 100 and living well to 100, or it means living to 70 but living every day to the fullest. So that was her passion in life, and that's why she's in the position that she's in now with the National Council on Aging, because she has a national stage to promote that and to promote ways to do that. So that's probably would be my sense. It would be wellness. healthy aging.
Yeah, so if anyone has any ideas, like, I would be interested in hearing them. We can talk about it maybe at the next meeting.
Yeah, the Giving Garden, sure.
Love the garden.
She loved the garden. The garden was one of her initiatives. I can't remember the year, forgive me. It was like 2010, maybe. Karen, help me out. Jefferson House. Yep. Yeah, they did. They received funding from the Jefferson House. Yes, from the council and from other sources. And when it became evident that they needed more funding to make it work the way we needed it to, they stepped up, which was fantastic. But that was, it used to be shuffleball. Was it called shuffle? I don't remember what the game, shuffleboard courts. And now it's a vibrant, wonderful, productive area. Yes. Yes, they did. Central Connecticut Health District, Jefferson House, the town council, and a whole group of volunteers made that happen. But that was Diane's project. So that's a good idea to consider.
What did you say? 6,000?
About 600 pounds of organic produce gets donated to the food bank every year. It's all volunteer run. And fresh flowers, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So, anyway.
Would you like, we don't have a commission clerk, as you can see. So we're working, yeah, I
You
know.
are everything.
I know, it's okay, it's okay. So I will make a note to put that on a future agenda if this commission wishes to do so. Okay.
So that was the next, the agenda for the.
Right, so again, we typically don't meet in August, which is why I put September, but if this group would prefer to meet in August to kind of make up for lost time, I'm open to either, willing to do whatever you folks like to do. Love it.
That's a great idea.
A pen, okay.
Do you need?
Correct. It's during the day. The second is Tuesday night. That is the volunteer dinner. August 3rd, we do have our membership and accreditation celebration, but it's during the day. So we could potentially meet on August 3rd if you'd like to, or we can just resume our regular meetings in September. Either way works for me. I need to go back and look through my notes. We can call, the chairperson can call a meeting up to 24, special meeting up to 24 hours in advance. So if this commission would like to hold off on deciding whether to do August or resume the normal meeting in September, we can do that as well.
Well, no, I couldn't be here in August, so that was
Okay.
your quorum.
Yeah, we wouldn't unless we have any more appointments.
And then there was something else I wanted to add to the agenda, and it was just a thought that I had. Since the meetings are in the evening, we rarely, very rarely get any seniors to come from the meeting. I was thinking if we could change them to noon or sometime in the afternoon. I don't know, you probably work with you young, so.
Just for the people listening at home, the chairperson is discussing consideration of maybe moving meetings to a different time, such as noon. We're discussing that.
I don't know how you feel about it. I just would like to see more seniors come to our meetings. They don't go out at night. There's no dial-a-ride at night.
Correct. There are transportation challenges. We do, of course, offer the hybrid option, which you do not need to have a computer for. You can also watch, and although you can't participate live, these meetings are available for later broadcast. Obviously, we have some kinks to work out with this particular setup in this room, but I do, we can reach a little bit more. We can reach more people than we used to. Our meetings prior to this were not recorded, other than a tape recorder for the minutes. So now we do have a recorded record of the meetings for folks who would like to catch up on them, but that doesn't help with the participation portion.
Can we put it on the agenda for our next
Yep.
meeting and about it?
So there are some schedule conflicts among volunteers who serve on multiple boards and commissions to consider as well. I will also need to ask the town clerk. I know that meeting schedules are set at the beginning of each year. This is a special meeting tonight because it's not on our yearly agenda, our yearly schedule. So if we have to change them, I think we might have to do something like the town council might do to cancel meetings and cancel meetings and set special meetings. We can figure it out if this group would like to do so. Anything is possible, right?
25, 30 years. And maybe less than 5 times have we had people come in, besides our liaisons, and besides you, who used to come in when Diane was here. So if you could all think about it and then see what you think. I don't know, would that be all right with you?
I don't have a problem, but I can see make it so permanent. Yes, it includes people who are older. The point of wanting. So that recruits only people who are not working, even though all of us that are retired are working 24/7 in capacity.
Yeah, I guess it's that's 22 either we include the.
And it may be a problem for liaisons, well, not in person. You know,
There was working people on the board.
but if you're looking for group,
Yeah, it's hard enough to get people.
I don't.
It's just seeing all the people here bothers me. And I know people have things to say, so. it would be nice. All right, well, we'll think about it. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is public participation. Okay.
I have nothing.
You're it.
I have nothing to
Um,
add. What
Oh,
was the
is there
question?
someone?
No, I interrupted you. I'm sorry, Councilor Nagel. Sue Mazzacoli from the public has raised her hand, so give me a moment to get her going. My goodness, I am so sorry about this. Give me a second here.
So Sue was a member of the Commission on Aging for several years.
Yes, I will also say before I unmute Mrs. Mazzacoli that she was instrumental in participating in our reaccreditation program too, and attending some of the meetings and one of the peer reviews where she gave a very honest and appreciated input and insight into the center. So I appreciate that, Sue. And now, you know what? For some reason, you need to unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself? Are you muted?
I just hit the unmute.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you can hear me. I had difficulty hearing the members, but thankfully you did a great job at telling us what they were all saying, Jamie, so I appreciate it. I could hear you very clearly, and what a fantastic report, so detailed, so much that happened in the last 2 years. And so I just want to say thank you. I do say that I'm really looking forward to Silver Sneakers. Of course, I've brought that up several times ad nauseum. When they do come to our senior center, though, what I am requesting is that we not be in the small ceramic room, that we be in the large auditorium. That way we could accommodate more people And I know Parks and Rec uses our auditorium quite frequently. And yes, there are seniors who belong to some of those programs, but I'm hoping that there will be room in the schedule once we get the instructor to be able to use the auditorium, so we don't have to have a lottery system like we did in the past. Because if you're exercising for 8 weeks and then all of a sudden you don't win the lottery, now you're not exercising for 8 weeks, or you're looking for somewhere else to go. So I just want to say that I'm really looking forward to that. My favorite program was when we went to Central Connecticut State University and we took classes with the students. I can't tell you how enjoyable a program that was, how much I learned, just participating and listening to what they all had to say, the different views. You think you're all thinking on the same page, and then you find out, no, you're not. But it was very interesting and I loved it. And I will sign up first in line for that if once you open it up again. And Jamie, I know that was part of your program back when you weren't our commissioner or our director. So I'm hoping that comes back too at some point. And then I know COVID's an issue. I want to thank the staff and everyone involved with the weekly phone calls. When I was stuck in my home from March to June, the end of June, and I did not leave my house, not one single time, except to go get my mail. And I went there with my spray, spraying down the mailbox, spraying my mail and leaving it out in my garage for a day. I had my food delivered, which is something I had to learn how to do. And I know a lot of other seniors had to too. And I was also helping teach some of seniors how to do that. But it was very lonely. And it got depressing at points. And looking forward to that weekly phone call, besides my children, was very helpful in keeping me going and knowing that at some point we were all going to be together again. So thank you so, so much for those weekly phone calls. It made such a big difference in my mental health. Also, I just want to say that as far as commissioners or other members for the commission, I'm hoping Dave Nagel, Mr. Nagel, that you will convey to the town council, maybe reach out to John Kelly and Dominic Payne. I've reached out to both of them, and they were very accommodating, very polite, and said that they were going to be looking for more members. And so that would be important, especially if somebody's going on vacation in August and you want to have a meeting, but you can't because you don't have a quorum. That's helpful to have more members than not enough members. And that's about it. I just, congratulations, Jamie, on a wonderful job you've been doing. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the commission getting together again. And yes, I did serve on the commission. I served when I was on the Democrat Town Committee, and then also when I was on the Republican Town Committee. A lot of us in town change parties based on certain issues or people that we run into. So, but I was pleased to serve on that commission, and I'm very happy that you're all back together again, and I appreciate you more than ever. So thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Susan. I would like to second Susan anyway, and thank Jamie. This was not easy to come up with 2 years worth of information, present it so simply, and keep the place going, take over quickly like that. She's done a great job. I'm really proud of her, and I see a lot of good things coming.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to adjourn. So move. Oh, all in favor?